Live from the Echo Network studios here in Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Odd Musings. We're your hosts. I'm Brett Pinson.
And I'm Scott Zambelli.
And we are classically trained nobodies.
We are classically trained. I'm not sure in what way, though.
I don't know. We're both artists. We're both writers. We both do Shipped. Scott is a realtor.
Realtor. No,
And, yeah, so we have a lot of cool stuff that we do, but we're back again.
Yeah, well, throughout the episode, we'll shout out some of our websites so you can find each of us.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff out there, and that. But we're going to be talking franchise wars today. All these great new trailers have launched this last week between Fantastic Beasts, Bumblebee.
Bill Murray singing Franchise Wars.
Franchise Wars.
Nothing but
Franchise Wars. Hey, gotta do as the crappy lounge singer.
Yeah,
which all the kids are going, what's a lounge singer? Well, back in the 70s, they used to have lounges, and it was a classy bar.
They probably think a lounge is like a sofa type thing now.
Yeah. Well, we lounge around in the Starbucks. Well, not the same. Unless you can get a crappy singer going, Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars.
That's right. So we had 5 different trailers come out over the last couple weeks for 5 major franchises. So we thought we would get into that a little bit later about, what works, what doesn't work for mega franchises. And
we've and some of the stuff we kind of have hit on before, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be fun. We're going to kind of explore some of this. Unless we get a chance to talk about different things, like, with the Solo DVD coming out, Blu-ray, the new Captain Marvel trailer, Bumblebee trailer, Fantastic Beasts 2, we got Aquaman coming out. Yeah. There's actually a lot more than that, but it's just kind of dealing with some of the franchise aspects of some of these movies that are coming out and how some seem to work and some don't.
Yeah, so we'll get into that.
But I've had an interesting week.
Yes.
Well, I went to Fantasticon in Fort Wayne. We left on Friday and got to hang out with Kevin Miner, who was on the show a few weeks ago, a good friend of ours, his wife Brandy, their kids. We had a great time with them all. Hadn't seen the kids, and I saw Sophia because she came up to do a concert with Kevin and I. Right. We saw Primus, but I hadn't seen Jill in a year, Braden, and Chloe, and just great kids. And of course, they're all growing like weeds and that, and they were all great to see. And
for those who don't know, Kevin was a previous guest on our show a few weeks back.
Good artist friend. So I went down to do the show just to mainly see them and hang out, and then the show was kind of the excuse. And that we had a great time. We had some great meals, of course, because when you're with Kevin, you always go and have great meals. Brandy did cook us dinner on Friday night, and it was really good, and enjoyed that. And then we all met up on Saturday night for dinner. We had a couple great breakfasts, so it was a quick trip. It was only 2 days, basically. And I get home on Sunday night, and it's one of those times you get home and you're not paying attention to things. And when my brother showed up, he asked where my car was.
Yeah, because he thought you weren't home.
Right. And my car was stolen.
You're like, my car?
Yeah, so so we called the police. Come to find out, someone also stole some jewelry. For my mom. They didn't take anything else. So
luckily it was only a few things.
Yeah, and so we come Monday, and I had to cancel my entire shops on Monday because I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for a car. I was cutting the line. Right. Scott, though, God bless you, Scott. You said I can draw, and you put a thing out there trying to help raise a little bit of money to help me out if I needed it, and I appreciate that immensely. You're a great friend, and
I try.
and it was totally unexpected. I didn't expect. I posted on Facebook what happened, not to get money, just to kind of. I did it partly because I almost needed a little bit of the sympathy you get from Facebook, and it was just also to get it out there, like, this is what's going on. I had a couple people that are local ask me what happened privately, and because they live in the area, like, my God,
it's hard because it's a violation of your space. I mean, that's you expect your home to be a safe place, and to find out somebody
and with my car gone, it ruins my job because my job requires me to have the car.
Right.
I can't just have somebody take me to work. I have to have the car to drive the stuff around.
Yeah.
So Monday we took care of all that stuff, called insurances, got things going that route. Mom's like, let's go take a good little drive. Your brother mentioned something about just driving around the neighborhood. So we drove around the neighborhood, and then she wanted to kind of go up around the service drive, not too far from the house. And lo and behold, we found my car sitting in a parking lot in front of Dunham's and Dollar General. So I called the police. They came up. Funny as the cop looked at us like we were, okay, you find your own stolen car and you just reported it stolen 12 hours ago, which is unheard of, really, and weird. So we talked it out. I explained the situation, and he pulled up the report, read that. They called Crime Tech to come out and dust for prints. Unfortunately, there was not any usable prints. And that the only thing stolen from inside the car was just a couple little trinkets, nothing of value. My entire shipped stuff was in there, including using the tripods we used for this show. They were in the car too. They were still there. Well, the tripods I paid like $30 for both of them. I think they go for $40 now.
Luckily, we found the tripods. Otherwise, Dominic was going to have to stand on all fours with the cameras balanced on his back.
I have an old kid's helmet or something. I was going to attach the digital camera to, and then he can hold the tablet.
Oh, we could attach the camera to our heads and have
there we go,
a POV shot.
Yeah. So I got the. So the cops came. They looked it over, and he said, "Well, you can take the car back." So I took it home.
So no damage to the car.
No, and when they stole the car, they stole the keys. I had my spare set. I had my regular set with me. They had the spare set because it was hanging up, and they grabbed that and took the car. So I didn't see the spare set. So I come home and I cleaned out my car. I'm like, let me just clean it out. Maybe they dumped it in the car. Didn't see anything. I happened to open up the gas cap. Oh, by the way, my gas was full, and it was down to just below a quarter of a tank. So they drove, on my estimate, about 250 miles on the car. Probably a little more is what the mileage was gone.
Right.
Open up the gas cap. Lo and behold, there's my spare set of keys. So I got my spare set because I was actually going to go. I was getting ready to call and take it somewhere and get it rekeyed and everything else for the electronics and that.
Right.
And it probably would cost me like $300.
Right.
But to me, it had been worth it because I didn't want somebody walking around with a spare set of keys.
Right. You want to make sure their keys wouldn't work.
And one of the guys told me, well, you can just get the key part changed. But I'm like, well, then I can still get into it. I don't want that happening.
Right.
So I've got both sides, so that's fine. So
so everything was recovered.
Yep.
And
like I said, they barely disturbed. So it was like a joyride type thing, and it was abandoned, and so we got it back. So it's running fine. I drove it here this morning.
Good. I was so happy when I saw you post that you found it. And
it was huge relief. It's still very emotionally draining, so I haven't worked since I got back. I'll be starting to work back again tomorrow.
Okay.
Needed a couple days to kind of just gather myself together.
Yeah. Because, that's understandable.
When you're violated, it's a very difficult thing, and it's very personal, and the whole thing is just you go with the wide range of emotions from anger to upset and and everything in between. And so I just went a couple days just to kind of center myself a little bit. I ran some errands yesterday. Did a little retail therapy. I bought Han Solo, the Star Wars story on Blu-ray with the digital. Actually, I got the 4K Ultra set from Target.
4K.
Came with the 4K edition, the Blu-ray.
Is your TV 4K?
My TV's not, but my Xbox One does play at 4K.
Does it? Okay.
But I hardly ever play the discs. I always load up the digital part. I like the discs. The discs are my backup in case I can never stream stuff.
Like that story that came out where Apple just started deleting people's movies. So
right, and that's why I always...
disc is your backup.
I very rarely buy a digital-only movie. I always buy the Blu-rays with that. Because when you look at the price, it's about the same price.
Well, technically, you're not buying the movie in a digital download. You're buying a user agreement.
Correct.
And so if they void the user agreement, you don't own anything anymore. So,
hey, Kevin, we were just talking about you and the visiting we had down there. It was awesome to see you guys.
We blame you for too many calories when we're on the road because you bring us to too many really good restaurants.
We went to Metro Diner for breakfast on Saturday. Really good. But I got to say, Cosmos, there's this Greek place we took us to on Sunday. I love that so much more.
Yeah.
Everything just struck perfectly with that. Both of them really, really good. And I would eat both again in a heartbeat.
Awesome.
But definitely the food was awesome. And he's got some good places around Fort Wayne, Indiana there that really enjoyed. Look forward to going back and eating those places again. And
awesome.
But so that was my adventures this past week. The car's back. Everything's fine. We haven't recovered the jewelry yet. We'll be checking some pawn shops, so we'll see what goes on there.
All right.
And go from there. But appreciated everybody. Everybody on my Facebook that commented. I appreciated all the kind words and prayers. God is good. My car was returned rather quickly, so I can continue on with my life.
All things considered, it could have been much worse. So
yeah.
It's more could have been taken from the house. The car could have been ruined, destroyed, never found. So, it was just a blip in the life that. Didn't want, but who knows? Maybe the ultimate reasoning it happened, it'll come out eventually. So there you go. Well,
who knows?
Very good.
But you've had some stuff going on with real estate lately.
Yeah, it's just been crazy, which is interesting because this is usually a time of year where you start settling down a little bit. But for us, it's been picking up. So we got we just had. I'm representing a good friend of mine for a house they're buying, and we just did the inspections and everything yesterday. So everything's looking good there, and. We're just moving forward, and I got some more leads that came through last night. So we got 4 additional clients we're working with right now. So it's really exciting right now. There's a funny meme, and it's so true. Now, I did real estate for a long time, but I've been out of it for a while. and I got back into it just about a year ago. And the meme is there's this real estate meme site, so they have all these funny real estate memes. That was totally redundant. But anyways, one of them is Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Yeah,
you know, when he's all like crazy thin and he's sitting on the beach and looking all frail, and it says a movie about a realtor's first year in the business. And that's really what it is, because it takes time.
You got to build it up.
And even though I did it for a long time, all those connections were gone because I've been out of it for so long. So all the work I did for all those months of generating the leads and getting my name out there, it's starting to come back now. And now it's like, you know, a breath of fresh air, like, maybe I do know what I'm doing. But
it's one of it is. I mean, it's a lot of people don't understand. They're used to the hourly jobs where you get paid. You show up, you get paid for the hours you put in. But within real estate, and as well as many other endeavors, when you're dealing with especially sales, the results aren't by the hour. It's by the sale, basically, and that can take some time.
The closing of the sale.
Yeah,
too.
The closing. Yeah,
until it closes, you're
not getting paid.
Yeah. And if it falls apart in the final hour, you're not getting paid.
Right, and that can happen.
And it can happen.
I sold copiers for a couple of years, and the same thing. It was like I thought I had the deals, but I wasn't spending the money, so I got it. But you know, once you do that, it's like all of a sudden, you know, great, here's money. And once you start getting it flowing, when deals don't happen, but you have enough stuff in the pipe going, then things start to even out a little bit. Right. But it takes a good 1 to 2 years in any industry like that to get that stuff going and get that that record going.
So I think what I'll do is, like Brett told me, you know, he'd like me to mention a little bit about my real estate each week. So what I'm going to do is give a quick little tip.
Yes.
A tip of the week. How's that?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Tip of the week.
Here we go. Scott's real estate tip of the week.
I like that. All right. So here's my tip of the week. When you're buying a house, what a lot of people don't realize is don't change any of your spending habits, because even though you might have passed the pre-qualification process for your mortgage, any big changes, whether it's large money going in or out of your bank account, large expenditures on credit, anything like that, it can change your credit score. And so everything could be going nice for your closing all the way through, and then all of a sudden, just before closing, the bank does a final credit check just to make sure things didn't get all wonky.
Right.
And you know, if you went out and bought $5,000 worth of furniture all of a sudden, or Uncle Jim gave you $5,000 as a housewarming gift and you stuck it in your bank account, any of these things can mess up your final approval. And actually, the house we're working on right now, the inspections we had yesterday, that was a house that was already sold and the deal fell apart at the last minute. That's how we were able to buy it, is they had a whole bunch of undocumented money they were using to pay for their down payment. That throws all the credit scores out of whack. It destroys the paper trail of where the money came from, because the bank doesn't want you using a personal loan to pay for a loan that they're granting you.
Right.
They don't want any other names or possible liens on there. So don't do anything.
Yeah.
when after you get pre-qualified and make your offer, don't change any spending habits. Don't, you know, if there is money that's going to be gifted to you, wait till after the closing. If you have that furniture you want to buy, wait till after the closing. There we go. Because it will kill the deal. So that's your tip of the week. You can find me on Facebook at Realtor Scott Z, or call me 586-549-6096, or go to www.scottzambelli.com.
And that was your real estate tip of the week from Scott Zambelli, Realtor.
Realtor. No.
Hey, JoJo's listening.
JoJo, good to see you
down there in Orlando. She's home now. She had a little bit of surgery, JoJo. We're her home mending. I saw you made some pizza last night. So I'll talk to you soon again.
I want pizza.
I had pizza the other day. That's why I didn't notice my car was stolen.
You're too big.
You know, at that point,
did you have to have more pizza to console yourself?
Yeah, I'm kind of like Gabriel Iglesias with that. You know, I had the pizza, like, oh, you're gonna get it when I get in the house. So definitely, we joke about Scott being a realtor. He is a real estate agent. He's licensed, bonded, and approved.
All
and if you don't like Scott, Jill's awesome. His partner Jill. So.
Yep.
And we'll just tie you into Jill. She'll take care of you. She
Jill
was here a few
Webler.
weeks ago, so you can always check out that episode.
And what's nice is you get us as a team. So, great example. Her and I are on the running team together for Team Woodside, where we raise money for the charity we're running for.
Mm-hmm.
But like this weekend, she has the Ragnar race she's part of. It's a 200-mile relay race.
Okay.
It's a team of 12, so she has about 15, 18 miles or something she's running in that. And so she'll be actually away this weekend, but I'll be able to, handle the load while she's gone. Or like if I'm out of town doing a Comic-Con,
she handles stuff.
She handles stuff. So that's what's nice when you hire us. You get a team, and if one of us is tied up, or if we have multiple clients, we can handle multiple things at once. So give us a call.
Awesome. Yes, so definitely check that out. And then before we move on,
JoJo's inviting us for pizza.
Yeah, we gotta go down to Orlando again. I know I'm going down probably in January because I want to go to Universal again. But
and we know where we're going to get our pizza from.
Flippers.
Gotta go to Flippers.
Actually, I think she knows a couple places that are different. I wouldn't mind trying, but I do love my Flippers down there. So
Flippers is good.
I love their calzone. They have a really great antipasto salad. It's like the best one ever.
Very good.
They have great house dressing. But
actually, the closest I've had to it is Buddy's Pizza here. Their antipasto salad is kind of similar.
I'll have to try it. We got a new one in Ann Arbor, opened like a year ago. I've never been. I've been in once and got a slice.
Their house dressing, it's not the same. I think Flippers is a little better, but it's close.
Yeah, well, it depends if they're doing an Italian versus an Italian vinaigrette. So
it's a vinaigrette they do.
Okay, because Flippers is a vinaigrette.
Right.
So, okay.
It's very close.
Okay.
So I recommend that. See how you like it.
Kind of tying in a little bit into our franchise war stuff, there was Gary Kurtz passed away this week.
Yeah, for those who don't know, he was tied
into Lucasfilm for a long time.
Since the beginning.
Yeah, so him and George Lucas were close. He worked on American Graffiti.
Yeah.
I think he may have had a part in THX 1138, but I know American Graffiti for
possibly.
sure. And then tied in some other stuff. He did some other things on the side. I know he's a producer for a movie I still want to see this day called 5/25/77. The guy that directed the movie Angus, but he made his own film about his life as a kid when Star Wars was coming out and thinking this could tie everybody together. And in a lot of ways it has. It took years later.
Yeah, many say he's just as vital to the success of Star Wars as George Lucas himself is.
Yes, yeah. So. I think a lot of what Lucasfilm became, what the Star Wars movies were, being George Vision, Gary Kurtz was someone that could actually help that vision move forward. And definitely a great guy in the industry for filmmaking and stuff like that. And he was like 78, I think he was. So he was around for a long time, but it's always still a sad thing. And that. So we wish Gary Kurtz rest in peace and see you on the other side.
Yep. Thanks for the memories through Star Wars.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
But before we get into the heart of it, I do have to talk about the back of it, which is Loringer Family Chiropractic.
The back of it. Good one, Brett. Good one.
Because your journey to wellness begins here. Build a healthy lifestyle with chiropractic care. Yes, I was there yesterday, like I always say. Got adjusted. I've been having a little problem with my sciatic on my hip and that. So I think a lot of it's tied into all the exercise I get, a lot of weight. As an example, I've lost down to where I'm now wearing 38 pants from 44. So that's a big drop.
That's a lot.
Yep. So I had to buy all new pants. But at Loringer Family Chiropractic Center PC, they do take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. They offer on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, Young Living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of items, all with a family-oriented environment. Give them a call at their Belleville, Michigan location, 734-697-4244. They are also located in Dexter, Michigan. That number can direct you to both places. You can visit them online at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com, or you can visit through oddmusings.com under our sponsors page. Now, if you're saying, well, Brett, we're listening to you down in Florida, like we have several of our listeners we know of, and all around the country, or our big hits over in Sri Lanka, you can always go online.
We are huge in Sri Lanka. We found out.
We're getting we get 400 and something listens a month on our SoundCloud from Sri Lanka.
So hello, Sri Lanka.
So
if
Sri
you guys
Lanka
want to sponsor us, we can sponsor travel tours.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having
advertise that.
In fact,
fly us out there.
Yeah, fly us out there for a week and put us up in the best of your hotels and show us your country.
Yeah,
feed us good food.
We are not kidding. We actually we pulled up our ratings, and we are huge in Sri Lanka. What is going on there?
I have no clue. I think it's. I happened to look last month and I looked this month, and we're averaging between 400 and 500 listens on SoundCloud alone from Sri Lanka, and was it Kuala Lumpur and something like that. So, and then the next one is we get like 5 from the United States and 5 from the UK, because that's just on SoundCloud though, not the iTunes or other apps that listen to us. So, but it's just 5.
So let's see. That's we got Janice, we got Connie, Jill.
Well, and that's just SoundCloud. Actually, SoundCloud's probably none of those because they're probably using iTunes
Sean.
and that. So, but yeah. But it's hilarious to think that that's going on. We use SoundCloud as our storage place for our episodes, and then we have the feed patched into iTunes, and from there, then it goes out to all the other ways of getting podcasts. But to see that we had like 400 and something coming in, I was like, I called up Scott. I was like, "You're not going to believe this. We've got 480 something listens just from Sri Lanka."
Now it's funny because that ties into a funny story on Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Okay.
When he was with Kramer, Michael Richards, thank you. He tells a story. Michael Richards tells a story how he is on this safari expedition thing, and he's like in the middle of nowhere, and they go into this jungle area, and he meets these people. They all live in huts, and they see him, and they start pointing and yelling, "Kramer!" And he goes and he follows them. The whole village knows him as Kramer.
Right.
There's only one TV in the whole village, and it has like this long extension cord that hits to this power generator, and like they have all the old Seinfeld stuff. So he's like, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and they know me as Kramer. And he's like, who would have thought that? So someday we might be walking through Sri Lanka.
Yeah, they need to bring us out for a Comic-Con. Everyone's going to go, on musings!
Yeah. So
I learned English from listening to your show.
So we got to find a Comic-Con in Sri Lanka.
There we go.
We'll gladly be sponsored guests for Sri Lanka Comic-Con or whoever you are.
Yeah, and, heck, we won't even waive our per diem. We'll let you pay us as much as you want. But yeah, so that's going on there. But back to our sponsor,
listening, Sri Lanka.
And if you are like anywhere else, check out LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com. Go to oddmusings.com under our sponsors page. Hey, if you got something you want a sponsorship, whether you either short term or long term, we are open for sponsors. If we've got any people listening that run Comic Cons, especially stuff like that, we do short term things for you guys. So just get a hold of us through our Odd Musings. We got special deals for Comic Cons that for advertising your show, even if we're not going to be there.
And we'd love to sponsor if you want to sponsor our show, we'd love to advertise your company or services also.
Or your business. If you have your own business, whether it's anything from even a multi-level marketing, as long as it's your business, you can legitimately promote it with a website and that.
Yep.
We're happy to do that for you. Phone numbers, but if you have an actual business and you can word out, let us do that for you. And heck, who knows, we even have deals where if we're going on to Comic Cons next year and you want to sponsor us at those Comic Cons, we can definitely do that too.
There you go.
So,
all right,
franchise wars, nothing but
so we had five pretty good trailers all across the board.
It's definitely everything. Kind of excited. Well, Aquaman, I'm not as excited about, but at the same time, I'm more excited about it than I was for the previous. You
said
DC
it looked
movies.
Better than the first trailer that came out.
Definitely. And the only thing I was more excited about for DC, not Disney, but DC was Wonder Woman. But definitely with Aquaman, I'm gonna go see it.
I will too.
And it's unlike Justice League, where I really didn't want to go see it, but I had a free ticket. That's why I still
haven't seen it.
I saw it once, and I've not seen it again. So I mean, we've talked about that. We'll get a little bit on the franchises and why things work and don't work.
Although I do want to see Cavill's CGI lip. I'm like strangely. It
wasn't bad. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even notice it was different.
No,
but of course, the way
it's gotten so much flack.
Well, there's so much CGI in the movie, anyways. Yeah, there's so much CGI in that movie, anyways, that it doesn't matter.
That's what turned me off from the trailer was the CGI of it. Now with Aquaman, I will say when I first saw it, the first trailer too, the above ground scenes I thought were great, and it made me interested in the movie. The only downside for me was the CGI for the underwater. To me, it just looked like they were sitting in a green room and they were doing this with the camera, like, oh look, you're floating, and then they CGI'd the hair to make it look like it's floating. That's all.
You get a little bit of that too from this one, but it looked like they were trying to fix it up. I think what's going to happen is lighting is going to be a big key in that, where it's not going to be as bright.
And that does happen sometimes, where the trailers, because they're out so much sooner than the movie, the CGI is not really the finished
They basically
product.
rushed the special effects just for those scenes for the trailer, and even then they're not finalized.
They're not final.
So we'll see how that goes in this. We got that coming out.
So I am looking forward to Aquaman, I will say. Yep. It's still, to me, it's not... To me, he's a different Aquaman, though. He's
kind of the... they did this in the comics several years ago, and they
upgraded
they
them.
upgraded a little bit. A lot of people knew Aquaman from the Justice Friends in the 70s, Super Friends, and so they kind of made him kind of lame, but really Aquaman's not a bad character. It's just he hadn't been dealt with. They upgraded him, made it a little more tougher, made him more of a superhero, and really built his story a lot more in the comics, and that's when they went with the beard and everything else.
Right.
And from what we gather from the trailer, so this is not a spoiler because you're going to watch the trailer and see it anyways. He's living on Earth, but he is he's basically an Atlantean. So and his brother,
he's half human,
right?
The mom,
I believe
his mom
he is
human, and his dad is
the king.
Poseidon or whatever. I don't know what
it was the king of Atlantis or whatever, and his brother is actually in charge of it when they're adult. And that's what the whole conflict is. It looks like.
Yeah, so that's looking good.
But he's got a tie to both the above land and below the sea. So and he's trying to actually keep the balance. Where his brother's talking about actually, because the promise of the trailer is they're going to invade the land dwellers and take over the entire world.
Yes, we hate you, land lovers.
Yeah, so it's kind of like from episode 1, with the Jar Jar Binks people and and then Naboo.
The Naboo.
They hated each other and they never associated with each other. So
they got Aquaman that showed a couple weeks ago. Then we had
last week the big reveal was Captain Marvel.
That's right, Captain Marvel. And we did talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm still excited about that. I love the CGI that we've seen for Samuel L. Jackson, making him look 20-something years younger.
And the trailer did its job, I think. It created hype.
Yeah,
I saw that trailer, and it makes me want to see the movie.
Yes, and they're again another Earth-based versus they're not really Earth or whatever. So it's gonna be interesting how that ties in with Captain Marvel, and then of course that is kind of the precursor to everything that's happened in the Marvel DC, cinematic universe. So it's gonna be tying a lot of that in, which leads to the point of where's she been for these last 20 some odd years? And not in these movies or mentioned until just now. So I think it's gonna be great to find that out, and that's not. And they moved it to March. I thought it was in February. They moved it to the beginning of March. So that actually puts it even closer to the Avengers movie coming out in May.
Yeah, and that probably all has to do with timing of other Disney releases and other things too. You never know.
Right.
And then you had Fantastic Beasts came out with a new trailer.
The final trailer, they're calling it.
The final trailer.
And we're November 16th. I'm definitely when tickets are on sale, I'm buying
That's going to be here before we know it. We're almost done with September.
Yeah, I'm buying tickets for the preview night.
I'm looking forward to it.
If they do like a fan event, I'm definitely doing that. Because everybody knows I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. So.
Oh, yeah.
But I love this trailer. They kind of expounded on the story a little more. We could, in
the trailer, we're seeing little glimpses of other characters that we are like, they're going to be showing them in it and stuff.
We see the Elder Wand. That's a big deal. And Phil doesn't know that is one of the Deathly Hallows.
Yes.
So I think that's key because eventually the Elder Wand ends up with Dumbledore. Does it happen?
Think about it too. Also, the cloak ends up in Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Because that Harry first gets it in Hogwarts.
Well, yeah, he gets it from his dad. So how they haven't explained that. So I have a feeling, and this is just me speculating irresponsibly. This first one we see the wand a little more. So the Elder Wand's going to be dealt with a little more in this one.
Oh,
but there's a lot of symbolism in the trailer of the Deathly Hallows. So I have a feeling that Nicholas Flamel was in the trailer too, and he's the one that had the Philosopher's Stone.
Which is Nicholas Flamel?
He's the one that created he's the alchemist that created the Philosopher's Stone, the Sorcerer's Stones we know here in the States, which is what you can use to live longer. So we meet him.
Although it has a horrible side effect of a face coming out of the back of your head.
Well, that's a different thing. He was trying. If he could have got the thing, he could have fixed that. But Nicholas Flamel already at this point is 350-something years old, and even though he's living forever, he's still very frail because they had a little joke about his hand kind of almost breaking when he had sugar. But they haven't really showed the cloak, so I have a feeling that this is all setting up.
How many movies are supposed to be on the Fantastic Beasts?
5 total. So this is the second of the 5. It looks like about every other year we should get one.
And a lot of people gave flack for Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
I'm liking him in this role of Grindelwald.
And it's kind of not to get too deep into this. A lot of the flack for Johnny Depp wasn't so much because he was in the role, it's because who he is in terms of his personal life came out with his now ex-wife,
divorce and all that
stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of things like that. So you can speculate all you want on that, just not here on Unmuted.
Well, but me personally,
as an actor, I think he's great in this.
My problem with Johnny Depp is I think overexposure, and so many things I'm seeing now when I see him act.
Right.
To me, it just looks like I see it's more like, oh, it's Captain Jack as a different character. Well, because so much of him is in Jack Sparrow.
Right.
But when I see him as Grindelwald, he's different enough that I'm not seeing Captain Jack Sparrow in the performance. So that's what I'm liking.
I like Johnny Depp in certain things. He's a little too much. As quirky as he tries to be in every single role, it all comes out feeling a little bit the same.
Has he done just a regular role in a while? Like just being a role?
It's been a while since he's done a lot of these great, crazy characters, but he's done things like Donnie Brasco, really good in that.
That's true.
And again, he's playing a good role there. He can do it. I mean, he was Hunter S. Thompson?
He should come back for the next 21 Jump Street.
23 Jump Street, and they can go visit him again. He can be the old man in charge.
Well, at his age, what is he, 50?
He's in his 50s. So.
52 Jump Street?
Yeah.
I'm infiltration.
Of course, he's got the new.
He's going to infiltrate a senior living center.
Yeah, he's got the new crazy commercial though for his.
I don't understand that.
I saw it the other day, and he's like out in the desert. But if you notice, like in the car, there's no digital stuff there. It's all wiped out. So it's like the car's been gutted. Right. So it's almost like a Mad Max car.
Right.
And he goes out there and he's digging in the desert, and it's all sauvage.
What is the deal with these perfume / cologne commercials where, like, the commercial makes no sense as far as its relation to cologne? Did he have to smell good in the desert? Is that what it was?
I don't know, because he was all dirty and
he's like, sometimes I don't know what I want, and I'm just digging in the middle of a desert. Sauvage. Yeah. It's like, what?
It's almost like from watching The Doors, and Morrison's like, let's go to the desert and just take all kinds of crazy drugs, and you see them doing this with drugs, and it's like, okay, so he took peyote, he's out there and he's just tripping.
I think they should have, if it was me and I was that Sauvage company, I would have hired Lucasfilm and had Sauvage Opress, Darth Maul's brother, be the spokesperson.
There you go.
It's like, when I gotta slaughter Jedi, I like to wear Sauvage. Smells like death.
I dab it on all my horns.
Smells like Order 66.
Yeah.
See, I think that would have been a better commercial.
Yeah. Well, we got all the Star Wars fans buying it.
And I'm available for the voiceover at Lucasfilm if you want me to do so.
There you go. So Fantastic Beasts 2 looks great.
Yep. And then
you got to watch the trailer. There is a lot of quick Easter eggs in the trailer that I don't know how they play out later on in the Harry Potter series, because it's actually going back, but definitely a couple of things there.
There's definitely a lot of things that look like Easter eggs in there, if not main things. And then I think this trailer did a phenomenal job. Bumblebee.
Oh, God. I watched it this morning before, and it's the first time I got a chance to see this before we came on the air. And I got to tell you, I'm watching this thing, and I felt like a kid watching the original Transformers, because they have got the looks right.
They're showing us Cybertron.
We see Cybertron.
We see Shockwave. We see Soundwave. Yep. We see Optimus. All in Gen 1
Starscream. I mean, which we've already seen that in the previous trailer, but even Bumblebee, which we've seen before. Now we're seeing him with his full mask on, so he's getting the full battle mask.
And he's original.
He's original Beetle.
Not McCartney Beetle.
No.
Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah. And in this takes place, like 20 years before.
This is in the 80s.
Yep. So it's 20 years before the first Michael Bay movie. So it does tie into it, but I'm like watching this going, this is just fantastic, and it's all setting up the eventual wars.
Yeah. And then last but not least, the Han Solo Blu-ray came out. So we said 5 trailers. There's 4 trailers plus the Blu-ray. Right. Han Solo came out this week also. So,
I watched it again last night. I still love that movie.
Still love it.
I haven't watched any of the features yet. I'm going to watch those. The movies, it's definitely a recap. And this is kind of what got us talking about these franchise wars and how this all deals with different franchises. But yeah, definitely. I was really excited about Solo coming out because I've been wanting to see it again.
Right. So to tie it to what the main topic is earlier this week, Bob Iger had his their investor review, or whatever you call it, where he speaks to the investors and tells them what's going on, what their plans are for Disney.
Right.
And he talked about how for the Star Wars franchise, they're scaling back, and they rushed it too much, and there's this oversaturation occurring. And I in a lot of the forums, I saw a lot of Star Wars fans saying, oh yeah, this is a good thing because a movie a year is too much. And it got me thinking, though. This is where I'm like, wait a minute. Marvel, for 10 years straight, has been averaging 3 movies a year. Why is 1 movie a year for Star Wars oversaturation, whereas Marvel, we're still hungry? Captain Marvel trailer, I saw that and I'm like, great, I can't wait for it. Avengers 4, great, I can't wait for it. The Avengers 3 broke like tons of records. So what makes an oversaturation?
Well, I think part of it is and kind of looking at from the Star Wars perspective, from Iger's perspective, all that stuff is what they've had is we've had 2 new episode movies come out, and we've had 2 side Star Wars stories come out, and none of it has been kind of new. It's all been dealing around the same characters in different ways. Even though we've had new characters, you had for Rogue One, it was still dealt with everything that needed to be dealt with right before A New Hope. So it was, even though we had this new group of characters that all died, so we can't see them again. It tied into that. Love that movie. I think it's a great lead-in to episode 1. I love that they told that story because it actually helps flesh out the rebellion a little more.
Right. And by most accounts, when I see people posting on forums, even the people who love the new episode 8s and all those, a lot of people point to Rogue One as their favorite still.
Yes.
Of the new batch,
of the new ones,
of the Disney era.
It was fantastic. And then you get to you had the 2 episode movies. You had episode 7, which I thoroughly loved and enjoyed. Wasn't a great movie overall. It's not my favorite in the Star Wars universe, but it was a great way to reintroduce that franchise back to the world again as new movies and to set up what they need to set up going forward.
I always label it as a soft reboot.
Yes.
It was a way of rebooting the series, but still honoring the old and not saying we're just going to have a Luke Skywalker again with a new actor. They created new characters and they're going to move it forward.
Correct. And then we had episode 8 came out, and as Scott and I both talked about many times, definitely it was a step backward, and this is where also tying into the franchise we're going to get into with Unified Vision and that. So that really hurt the fan base on that. And there's a lot of people. There's people that are, I love it. It's the greatest movie ever. I support. I can't believe you guys hate it. There's something wrong with you. No, everybody has their own opinion on movies, stuff like that. But when it boiled down to it, that didn't do as well as it could have done if it had been a better movie. And then that actually translated into Solo going back, because what you had was them talking prior to episode 8 coming out. There's a lot of talk about they had to go back, they had to get a different director for Solo. They brought in Ron Howard, did a fantastic job. Ron Howard is and to this day still one of the best directors of the modern era. And he understands storytelling and things like that.
Well, he also understands his place.
He understands his place, and he came in and got back with the Kasdan, so Lawrence Kasdan and his son, and actually went ahead and got the back on script, because they had gone off script is what it happened.
Well, and I think Solo, what the power of Solo, the movie, is it shows the importance of the unified vision and everything else, because realistically the actor who's playing Han Solo isn't the greatest.
No,
he's not that great. He's okay, he's not great, but the writing by Kasdan, who wrote Empire Strikes Back, and also created the writing that gave us Han and Leia as such a strong storyline in the original trilogy. He understands these characters, so he understands the essence of who Han Solo is. You have Ron Howard, who understands that he has a duty to the larger franchise and to the fan base.
And he's also very close to George Lucas, so he understood George's original vision, because they as friends they had discussed different visions as directors and that.
He didn't come on board saying, I'm going to give you my vision of what Han Solo should be. He gave us the vision of what Han Solo was intended to be, and that's so powerful
from the script, and that's exactly what should have been done. Where the previous 2 directors were that were co-directing, where the guys did Lego movie, came in and said, well, we don't want to do this script, we're just going to improvise, and that's where it was coming out when they saw the dailies. Problem was when episode 8 was done is when they saw it, and then they immediately looked at Solo to see what was going on, because it was in the middle of shooting, and they realized the problem they had, but they've never fully acknowledged it.
But that ties into Lucasfilm compared to Marvel, for instance. Marvel is the gold standard for franchises right now. No one in the history of Hollywood has been able to do what Marvel has with the sheer quantity of movies, maintaining the same cast throughout this. Look at DC; they have trouble keeping the same actor for 3 movies. How many times have we seen Tony Stark? And Chris Evans as Captain America? All these, they keep it. But what they do is you have a strong unifying vision by Kevin Feige.
Which actually, it started even going before that. It started with Jon Favreau, and from Favreau to Whedon to Feige.
Yeah. But you got this strong unifying vision, but it was really Feige who took it and made the arcing story.
Yeah, he's the one who brought it all together. From that first Avengers movie on.
And they had that foresight to say, let's write an arc that's going to cover all this.
Yep.
And then what they do is they go out and they hire directors and they say, okay, we're going to hire you. We love what you do, but this is our story. You're going to tell our story. You have creative freedom here, but you are within this confine.
Right.
And that's what they do. And every time they've had a director who decided they're going to do their own thing, Marvel has no problem saying you're gone.
Right.
Compare that to Kathleen Kennedy in Lucasfilm. Every single movie, she has given creative control of story and direction and style and everything to the director.
Yeah, they brought in J.J. Abrams to do the episode 7, and instead of signing him to a deal for 3 pictures, at least as the story guideline, they brought him in as the first one, and then they said, well, we're going to bring in this other guy for the second one. And when they did that, he wrote his own script. He was given a basic outline from the first movie, and
it wasn't even a final. It wasn't even the final movie.
And he's been quoted as saying he did not talk to J.J. Abrams ahead of time to see what would tie it to his movie. He just had certain things.
He didn't see what J.J.'s purpose of things were, what direction they were going. And part of it's J.J.'s fault. He was too afraid.
Yes.
They wanted to sign J.J. to all 3 movies. And he only wanted to do 1. But at the very least, they should have signed him to write the story for all 3. Instead of having a different voice for each movie. Now we're going back to J.J. for episode 9.
Yep.
And I think J.J. is going to find a way of taking his original vision and bringing it to fruition and explaining what happened in the middle and tying it together. I think he's going to do it still.
I have more, any faith of it. I have faith in him that he can actually fix the problem with their storytelling.
I think so too.
But then this also leads to the fact that, okay, they're done after that one now. They've stopped talking about Rian Johnson doing his own trilogy.
They haven't said he's not.
No, but they just stopped talking
about it.
Right.
They'll still mention Game of Thrones guys.
Yeah. They came out afterwards, so they're talking about these guys doing their own stuff.
Yeah, even this last weekend I saw with Iger's announcement, he mentioned them again with their trilogy, but he didn't mention the Rian Johnson trilogy.
Yeah, the problem is...
So I found that interesting.
Yeah, and part of it scaling back is because Solo didn't do as well as they wanted in the theaters. They set up a good trilogy there. We've talked about this before in previous episodes.
I really think I'm right.
The Crimson Dawn trilogy is basically what it was, and you had Darth Maul, one of the favorite villains, and they could the Boba Fett and then the Obi-Wan Kenobi movies were supposed to be, in our opinions, the continuation.
Yeah, it's our theory. It's not.
It's our.
There's zero confirmation of that, but I really think I'm right on that. I think it's Boba Fett's the next movie, and then Kenobi is the finale. But
if they don't do those movies, we're not going to have that.
I think they will.
So I hope they do.
I still think they will.
And it's fine if they say, well, we don't do a movie a year right now. If you follow
Ray Park, he is in high training mode still.
Okay.
He's been getting in better and better shape. I think all the signs are there that his intention is still to be Maul.
Good. So that's what I'd like to see, because they set this up, and with them saying we're going to scale back because it's not. I don't think it's oversaturation. I think it's.
And that's it right there. The word oversaturation kept being used by Star Wars fans. It's oversaturation at one movie a year. The key is quality.
Yes.
That's the key. Marvel is doing quality. They have a vision. They have a story arc. And I think the genius of Marvel is they recognize the binge-watching model that was created by Netflix.
Yes.
Marvel really is doing 2-hour Netflix episodes.
Yes.
Every 3 months, 6 months, 4 months, whatever it is, a new 2-hour episode gets released, and they're really chapters in a bigger story.
Yes.
And I think that's the key to why Marvel's working so well. Instead of just being these stories that it's like, okay, this is finished, now what are we going to do? We need a new idea to make more money. And it just doesn't work because it's clunky.
It started perfectly with the first Avengers when they introduced Thanos. We see him in the credits. They had already introduced the Cosmic Cube, which became one of the Infinity Stones. Yep. And it set up everying they would do from that. So think about it.
Although, to be fair, what's interesting there is those were accidents. They were intended to be Easter eggs at first.
Right.
But they saw the reaction. And see, this also what makes Marvel great. They have the vision stuff, but they understand their product, and B, they understand their fans.
Yes.
And they understand if you make the fans happy, you have a success. So they did these as Easter eggs. They saw saw the response and they're like, okay, this is working.
Yes.
Instead of just saying, well, we don't care what you guys want, you're going to buy tickets anyways. I can't believe these actors come out that way.
Well, that's been the DC model from the studio
not just
itself,
DC. That was also Michael B. Jordan with the Fantastic Four. He's like, it doesn't matter if you like it or not. We know you're going to buy tickets.
I didn't.
Well, that's the thing.
Still haven't seen it.
When you hear them say that, it just makes you say, oh, really?
Yep. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Don't plan on seeing it. I may come across it like on something on TV one time, but I have zero desire to see that Fantastic Four movie because they said from the get-go, this is not Fantastic Four. This is our vision of something different, and we're just using the Fantastic Four name.
Right. And then tying it back to like The Last Jedi, Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac, yeah. Thank you. My brain blanked for a second. Poe Dameron popped in my head. Poe Dameron said, no, but like he came out with this statement, and so many people were like so happy for it. Where he's like, well, if you didn't like Last Jedi, maybe you should make your own movie. It's like, no, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to make a Star Wars movie, go make your own movie.
Right.
Don't take on a franchise, an established franchise, to make your own thing.
Right.
There are rules and constructs to a universe, and there's something that is the core essence of what it is. Star Wars has always been a crystal clear story of good versus evil.
Yep.
That's what it was. There's no ambiguity. Thank you. I was ambiguous on that word. It's good versus evil. That's what it is. And they're trying to turn it into shades of gray and all this stuff. Just it's a pure fairy tale for kids, good versus evil.
And that's what it always was. Star Wars was always a fairy tale. The science side part of it, even calling it a sci-fi movie really is almost
science fantasy.
Science fantasy is a better way to look at it, but it was always, the science part was always, that's just there.
Right.
It was never the motivating part of the stories.
Yeah. Which is why nothing actually makes sense a lot of times. If you actually try to go on a science level, I mean, people will try to count, well, how long were they in this hyperspace route? No, the way they handle hyperspace, it's just a convenient route to get them from A to B.
Well, if you see the new Predator movie, which I still don't recommend, it's basically how they did. They just opened up a portal, boom, they were there.
Yeah, they did it as like a tear through time space or something and went. But anyway.
Hyperspace is, they even mentioned even in Solo, hyperspace it's a path, and you're definitely crossing somewhere, so it's how it gets there fast.
So you got successful series like Marvel, which I think they hit all the points.
Yes.
They understand the fan base and what they want. They understand their product and who they are. They never shied away from Captain America. See, compare Captain America to now DC. Superman. DC was on the record at the time saying the goody two-shoes Boy Scout image doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Meanwhile, you got Captain America competing against Superman with the good old Boy Scout image, and it worked. DC was always about, people don't want to see heroes anymore. So it's a fallen world, so we're going to make fallen heroes and show how broken they are.
Right.
Marvel's was, it's a broken world, but our heroes rise above it, and they try to pull everyone up with them.
Right, and that's what the whole thing with Captain America with Steve Rogers was. He came from a different era, and they always try to almost say it as a negative. It's actually more of a positive, really. He was like, no, there's these truths that need to be held up to,
and they never shied away from it. They never apologized.
And even when he was kind of the bad guy with Civil War and leading into everything going on, he had to disappear for a while. He still held to his faith of a better world, but not through the way they wanted it.
Right. So that's where when you start getting into the essence of who characters are, I think DC in a lot of ways, and you can disagree on this, but I think a lot of it was a money play. They were rushing to try to compete against Marvel's Avengers and make the same money, and in the process they hired people who wanted to make things in their own image instead of what the image was.
Well, it was mainly Zack Snyder, and he did a whole reimagining of Superman and Man of Steel to when they started doing the Batman versus Superman. But even then they had all the input from the studio that said, well, we got to have all this stuff. It boiled down to after Man of Steel come out and then Avengers is out, and they're like, well, this made $1 billion, and they've been quoted, and this is paraphrasing, basically saying, well, we want that too, so we're going to do this big epic movie, forgetting the fact that you had a few Iron Man, you had a Thor, you had a Hulk movie.
They had, I think, 10 movies before they got to the first Avenger movie, something like that.
Yeah, so they had movies that led up to it that built their universe.
And they had and Marvel had some stumbles along the way.
Right.
But they trusted in their vision, and they kept moving forward.
Right.
But to move move this conversation forward,
because we haven't got much time.
Now we talk about unifying vision. J.K. Rowling's. Now, she's a great example of a unifying vision because she has complete control over all of the wizarding world.
And actually, she has it not just in the movies and books, it's also out in the real world with going to the different studio, like Orlando's Universal, Hollywood Universal, the different places they have, even in UK where they have the sets and you can do different stuff with the where it's like a theme park. There's certain rules that she says you can't budge. One is like for right now Universal down in Florida, they're doing their Halloween Horror Nights, and they had it open a couple years ago for the first time, Diagon Alley, but the entire New York area, she actually controls that in terms of what they can do or not. And she said none of the scare actors can come into that area. You can have it open, and people can get butterbeer, but it's that has to be kept separate from the horror aspect of it. The other thing was, she said there would never be characters. You're not going to walk in and see Dumbledore walking around. You're not going to walk in and see Harry, Ron, or
you just have to be there when they're not there.
This becomes the fan side of when you're there, you're the character. You're in the world now, and you are your own character there, and she's controlled that. Same thing with the books.
But in the books and in the movies, she is the unifying vision and force behind it. She intimately knows her characters. Marvel knows their characters. See, DC hires people who think they can read on Wikipedia who the character is about. See, that's where Wonder Woman was so great, because Patty Jenkins actually understood the character and knew what it was about, and thank God the studio was too busy with Justice League to screw up her movie.
Well, they also said, we're going to let you do a Wonder Woman movie because she's in Justice League, and they'll help lead into it. They thought it would just be a little blip. And they didn't realize that it was going to be their best movie so far.
But then with J.K. Rowling's, any of these stories she's doing, she intimately knows these characters.
When the original Harry Potter movies, she wrote the books. I believe it was Stephen Clove is the one that did the screenplays. They worked hand in hand. He always went to her, and any changes in the screenplays versus the books, because of storytelling for a movie versus a book, she approved.
And then even in the making of the movie itself, once it got past the screenplay, Christopher Columbus was he on all the movies?
He was the first two. He stayed on, I think, as like a producer for a little bit. But
he had a huge part in helping.
And one of her
after he left,
one of her rules was all the principal characters have to be British, played by them. So Ron, Harry, you couldn't bring an American over. They allowed.
That's rather nationalistic of her.
Vern Troyer did come in and play a couple different roles like Goblin and stuff like that, and he's an American. But all the major characters had to be British because they were all British in the book, and it was about keeping that. She wanted to keep that. She didn't want it to become an Americanized thing when it was actually a British thing, and I understood that. I think it's a great thing she did on that, and it kept the authenticity there.
I have nothing wrong. Just like it's funny because when it's an American thing, everyone's like, "Oh, you're trying to make it non-diversified." To me, James Bond should always be British.
Yes.
The Hogwarts stuff should always be British. I mean, obviously, if you have an American school, it'd be silly.
Well, that's where with the Wizarding World with the Fantastic Beasts, she introduced the American school. She introduced American wizards and witches. So we have that even in these movies now.
But even in the original movies, you have the Germans.
Well, they brought in the Beauxbatons, which is basically French, and then you had the Durmstrangs, which is more towards like the Eastern Bloc. So we had those two schools come in. So they showed there's other schools, and she's released on her Pottermore all the different schools that are around the world.
And that's the other part that she's doing too. Is she through Pottermore online? She keeps this world alive, and her she keeps that fan base moving, and she does such a great job. Now, to move on a little bit more because we're running out of time. Now to Transformers. Now we talk about unifying vision and a voice. The movie side of Transformers has had Michael Bay throughout, and
they've been very consistent with what they've been doing. Whether you like them or not, they have stayed in that direction.
Although I would argue, even though they had a unifying vision, they had a guy who didn't give a crap about the core characters. And he didn't care about the fan base. So you had a product that alienated a lot of the fan base. Anybody who grew up on Transformers, if you love the animated movie, to this day, that is still the best Transformers movie there is. Because what they've created... The Transformers were turned into CGI props instead of main characters, and everything became about the special effects. Now, you had a younger crowd who fell in love with them, but they would have fell in love with it even if you did it right to begin with. Now, what's interesting is in this movie, now that the franchise is kind of dead, now they're finally reaching out to those of us who are lifelong fans because they've lost us. I haven't seen the last two.
I haven't seen the last two either. I saw the last one just popped up on, I think, Amazon Prime for me to watch if I want to, but
I haven't even been interested.
But it's seeing this new trailer for Bumblebee, it's like, okay, now they're going back to the core of what Transformers was. When as artists, we've done artwork of Transformers ourselves. I've always done just Generation 1, and most of the time when fans come up, they're like, oh my god, you got Generation 1 artwork. I don't like the movie designs. I don't like this. Once in a while I get people ask, can you do it from a different, but it's usually one of the different cartoons like Beasts or Beast Wars or something like that. But the Gen 1 classic Transformers is what people are wanting to see. And for the first time, we're going to see it in a new Bumblebee, and I'm excited about that. And I'm hoping it's the launch of a new series of movies that deal with the Gen 1 version.
They've been talking about rebooting the movie franchise for Transformers, and I part of me wonders, are they going to do a full reboot, or is this Bumblebee movie going to act as the transition movie to get us into this new design look they're going to? So I don't know yet. We'll see. But
it all depends on what they're going to go forward with that. If it does well, we'll know probably within a few months of exactly what's going to be. But I haven't been excited for a Transformers movie since probably the first one. But even then, I wasn't that excited. But now I watched the trailer before we started here, and it was like watching a trailer for the animated movie.
And Janice posted that she has the original Transformers animated soundtrack on vinyl for them.
I saw they released that. I'm like, that is just so cool.
That is such a great soundtrack. You have Weird Al doing Dare to Be Stupid. You've Got the Touch. Yep. That's a great one. Dare.
Yep. What's funny about You Got the Touch, though, is they have that in the original Transformers. Mark Wahlberg has been in the last couple of Transformers, and in Boogie Nights, he's saying You Got the Touch when he's trying to be a singer as the former concert.
I didn't watch Boogie Nights, so I don't know.
Great movie.
Is it?
With the late, great Burt Reynolds, who could have been James Bond.
And a lot of people, did he get an Oscar for that role?
He
was
did.
Nominated at least.
Yeah, he got his.
He did win?
I believe he got. If he didn't win, he got something for it.
But
Golden Globe. I think he got a Golden Globe.
Golden Globe.
Yeah, he was great.
As Harrison Ford says.
But yeah, you should definitely see that. And then
every time I hear Golden Globes, I think of these poor actors. They'll get them completely wasted.
Sean Ford, got Stan Bush. That's who did the touch. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But the soundtrack's great. I love the soundtrack. Have for 30 years now.
And it's the Game of Thrones of it. That movie was so. what was so great about the Transformers movie is Hasbro had no idea what they had. They didn't understand the fan base.
Right.
And they're like, we need a new toy line. So he did Order 66 on the toy line, and so Megatron killed everybody. Right. And we're watching these as kids, and you're
pretty much Megatron himself got killed. And
everybody. And we're all sitting there like in stunned silence at what we're witnessing.
Yeah, and after it was all done, when they relaunched the series on TV, and it's like all the new characters come back, everyone's like, what is this garbage?
And they got bombarded with fan mail crying about Optimus dying.
Yeah.
Even Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, said he had no idea. And he's just like, okay, they killed him off. And then all of a sudden, they had so much mail, they couldn't fit it in the offices. And they're like, what is this? What happened? So they didn't understand the love that people had for Optimus. But on that note, we're running out of time here.
Hey,
but
join us next week. We're going to have a special guest. Everyone's coming in. We're going to talk a little Flint Comics. We might have a little controversy in Comic-Cons.
An event occurred with Grand Rapids Comic-Con and an uninviting of an artist. So we'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah, talk about how this is kind of going throughout the industry and get Randy's take on stuff, because Randy has definitely a great vision and look on how the industry is. Yeah. He understands. He's been around it for many, many years, and we're going to talk a lot of comic stuff next week. So I think it's going to be a great time. So until then, you can find me at brettpinson.com. Scott?
The Art of Scott.
The Art of Scott.
The Art of Scott. Cool.
On
Facebook, at The Art of Scott.
At The Art of Scott, or Scott Z. Realtor.
Zambelli, whatever. Find me somewhere.
He's everywhere. We're everywhere. Go to oddmusics.com. We should have our links there as well. And until then, join us next week. Dominic, take us out, man.